Let's now move on and shift our focus to some more news that we are getting for you at this point in time. Big boost for Modinomics. Fitch, the ratings agency, has retained India's credit rating at BBB minus with a stable outlook. Now, it is also important to note here the reaction that has come from Fitch Ratings on the possible impact of Trump tariff on India's GDP. So Fitch, the ratings agency, in fact, has mentioned the impact is going to be moderate. It says, and I quote, U.S. tariffs are a moderate downside risk to our forecast, but are subject to a high degree of uncertainty. The Trump administration is planning to impose a 50% headline tariff on India by 27th of August, although Fitch believes that this will eventually be negotiated lower. This is what Fitch has said on the possible impact of Trump tariffs on India's GDP. Fitch, in fact, in its statement has also given us the forecast for FY26 GDP growth, which stands at 6.5%. Let's go across to my colleague Sumita, joining us on the broadcast for more on this. Sumita, now good news there coming in as far as the Indian economy is concerned.
Absolutely, Hina. So Fitch has commented on a whole lot of factors, and of course, tariffs or the impending tariff implementation is one of the topics that Fitch has touched upon. It states that U.S. tariffs is a moderate downside risk to India, but uncertainties remain given the fact that Trump plans a 50% tariff on India by August 27th, and of course, it states that it may be negotiated lower. It remains to be seen how soon can that happen, because the U.S. team, which was expected to arrive in India on August 25th, that has been pushed. In fact, the team was to arrive today. These negotiations will now happen on a later date, but how much later will the negotiations happen? That we'll have to wait and see. But of course, we are also given to understand from sources that negotiations between India and the United States are in fact going on, and of course they are in touch, which also states that the direct GDP impact as far as these tariffs is concerned, it's only going to be on 2% of India's GDP. But tariff uncertainty, well, that is likely to dampen business sentiment and investment as well, because there is a lot of uncertainty that's that is prevailing at the moment with respect to these tariffs, and of course the impact particularly on very, very vulnerable sectors, for instance leather, handmade goods, of course textiles as well, and of course given that we are in the midst of the festive season, so there is bound to be some impact. However, the government of India is working on possible measures that it can undertake. It is approaching 50 countries as part of its export diversification strategy. We're trying to, of course, close our FTAs with countries with which we are in talks with, for instance, the EU.
But Sumita, what's also interesting to note is what is mentioned in this particular statement that has been issued by Fitch Ratings, wherein even though it is predicting that the Trump tariffs and the impact really on our GDP is going to be moderate, it's not going to be huge, but that is going to depend on what really happens, whether we actually have some kind of a trade deal agreement or not, because they say that they believe the amount that we have right now, 50%, is going to be negotiated and the percentage will come down. So only if that happens, the impact will be moderate, isn't it?
Absolutely. We've also seen some developments from the side of the United States. Well, they have, of course, finalized a new envoy for South Asia, and that, of course, is going to be...
Sumita, apologies, I'm just interrupting you there. Request you to stay on with us. We have Sharat Kohli, who's an economist, joining us on the broadcast as well. Good afternoon, Mr. Kohli. Thank you for speaking with us here on Times Now. Your first reaction to the outlook for Indian economy by Fitch Ratings?
Good afternoon, Hina. Good afternoon to the viewers of Times Now. I think the rating seems to be a very big relief as far as the Indian economy is concerned. Maintaining BBB Fitch rating, which indicates stability of the economy. And I'm so great that, an international rating agency which has got roots in America, they themselves are saying that the tariffs ultimately will not have any big impact on the Indian economy. I think this all the inhibitions which were being expressed, especially from some people in the opposition and some of the people who don't enjoy when the Indian economy grows, I think I have been maintaining that stand that Indian economy's impact will be minimal. $50-odd billion, Hina, is the quantum of exports being impacted, and it's just 2% of our GDP. We are not an export-oriented economy like China. We are a consumption-driven economy. So the BBB rating basically comes from the fact that 60% of India's GDP comprises of consumption. So in an economy where you are based on consumption, export increase or decrease does not impact as much as one would have thought. Now, coming to the exporters, the $50 billion worth of exports which will be lost if America refuses to negotiate, 27th August deadline of 50% tariff. I think because Ministry of Commerce and those exporters I've spoken to exporters in Gujarat, I've spoken to exporters in Tirupur. They're all looking for alternate markets. America is not the end of the world. And I think this rating should be reassuring to exporters as well, Hina.
And also, Mr. Kohli, it's also a message for those who seem to agree within the country with Donald Trump, the United States of America president, when he called India a dead economy along with Russia.
Oh, yes. I think that statement was a classic case of hypocrisy, because an economy where America has heavily invested, so many of American companies in India are working. And, Trump Towers, why forget Trump Towers? Donald Trump's own company in India, 175 crores is the total amount of commission, because Trump Tower doesn't construct by itself. It takes away the commission out of the franchise, the name it lends to the builders here. 175 crores taken out from a dead economy. That's hard to believe. So he's contradicting himself. I don't think anybody in the world can call India as a dead economy. It's the fastest growing economy at this point. I have with me, all the high-frequency indicators of the economy, including the PMI, the forex reserve, the direct tax collection, the indirect tax collection. I think that was a ridiculous remark. And he should be regretting making that remark, because Fitch, which is one of a very credible rating agencies within America, is giving this rating. So I think it's a slap on the face of all the critics who've been trying to make Indian economy feel like as if everything is over for the Indian economy, and America is the beginning of the world, America is the end of the world. Unfortunately, it doesn't go that way.
All right, Mr. Shahid Kohli, appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. Let me go back to my colleague Sumita, who continues to be with us at this point in time. Sumita, now, as you were also mentioning earlier, as per the statement by Fitch Ratings, the direct impact on GDP is going to be modest, as exports to the US account for just 2% of the GDP. But tariff uncertainty is going to definitely have an impact on the overall business sentiment as well as investment. And all of this is going to depend upon whether we are able to negotiate, with Trump's administration and bring this 50% number that we have, 50% sword that's hanging around our necks, a bit lower. What do we know about, where do the negotiations really stand at this point in time?
Right, Hina. So you have touched upon a couple of points, and I'm going to come to each of these one by one. First things first, it's not just the Fitch Ratings, which has suggested that there's not going to be a significant impact on Indian economy. If you remember, S&P Global Ratings as well, a couple of days back, it cited strong growth. It elevated India's GDP growth as well. It lifted India's rating to BBB in a first upgrade that came in after multiple years. And of course, Minister Piyush Goyal, the Union Commerce Minister, just 2-3 days back at a summit stated that, we are the fastest growing economy. India is resilient. Meanwhile, we are also given to understand from government sources that government is looking at implementing a proposal to support exporters and trying to cushion them from the impact of these additional tariffs. And that proposal could be around 25,000 crore rupees. This could insulate the exporters over a period of 6 years under the export promotion mission that the government cleared in this year's budget. And of course, while these measures continue to go on, India has maintained that there will be certain red lines which will not be crossed, whether it's related to agri, dairy, and GM crops. At the same time, our export diversification strategy has a couple of pillars. We've identified 50 countries of significance, which constitute 90% of India's export basket. So we are engaged with all of those countries. And of course, there are some measures that the government is going to be taking as far as boosting domestic consumption is concerned. Yes, there is going to be some impact, but definitely the government will continue to support exporters and, diverse sectors.
Thank you very much, Sumita. Appreciate you joining us with your perspective and your inputs on this particular story.